Assalamu alaikum, family. You're tuned into the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks. It's me and the birds this morning. You can hear them chirping. They enjoying themselves. Yeah, be a friend, tell a friend. We're just going to chit chat. We don't got anything specific, no big subject today, but just a few things I want to talk about. So we'll be right back, and make sure you like and subscribe.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. You all know that. So, welcome, welcome, and welcome. I got me a little water this morning because I needed to hydrate. Allergies don't know what they're trying to do, and I said, let me hydrate. Um, is it just me, or does it feel like we're in the twilight zone lately? Seriously, I'm not being, this is not some far off conversation. Seriously, does it seem like we're in the twilight zone lately? You know, what's going on in the world impacts people in their everyday lives. And I think with all the uncertainty that is out here and all the things that people are trying to just navigate through, a lot of us don't have a program or a strategic plan in our mind. Or if we do, we don't have confidence in it. And then when you see all these things going on in the world, you know, the dollar, the economy, lawlessness, it's a time, in my opinion, for us to go deeper into our spirituality, go deeper, way deep down into it. But some of our spirituality is so surface level, it doesn't include anything practical. You just hear us say, I'm spiritual, I'm blessed, I'm touched, I'm a child of God. Everybody's a child of God. But what is your plan? Right? So, but a reason why I say Twilight Zone, because I think that the uncertainty that is out here is making a lot of people move in weird ways, really strange ways. Like you'll notice that people that you've known forever all of a sudden start, it's just made me think of something. I just got my answer. I don't know if I can say it though. Start to just move weirdly. It's like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? Or you have somebody call you and they're talking and you're like, but you have no idea what they're saying or where they're coming from. Or people decide they're going to do strange or weird things. And you're like, huh? People deciding that they're going to just get off the grid. It's just, I got my answer. So I'm going to stop that subject. It came, and I know I got to figure out how to share it with y'all because, yeah, I think I can share this part. I remember asking Sister Captain Virginia in Indianapolis many years ago. I said, what was it like before the departure of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? And she thought, she kind of just looks down and she looked up at me and she said, it felt like you were in the twilight zone. And I said, say more. And she said exactly what I was just about to say to you guys. And it just hit me. I remembered. She said, people that you thought you knew or you thought you were cool with kind of lost it. People started flipping the script, all kind of crazy things happening. And it was like you didn't have that level of certainty anymore. And I said, wow. So I started thinking the other day, not even remembering that conversation. And she said more specifically in detail, but not remembering that conversation, I started thinking about understanding a plan. And I've been talking, you all know, I've done several shows about manifesting in the face of chaos. in the midst of controversy? How do you continue to stay connected to people in these types of times when you're insecure? Maybe you don't know where your next move is going to be. In these types of times, and I'm sorry, y'all, I'm gonna get this out, where all the way from executive branches of the government down to people around us, things feel uncomfortable. And this is where our faith comes in. And I have to qualify what faith means. Faith in a belief system that you internalize that is broad enough to allow you to prosper despite what's going on in the world. Prosper from a health standpoint, financially, family, interpersonal relationships. At this point in time, interpersonal relationships become even more and more critical. I've seen what it's like to do business in what they call third world country, and what they rely on and what they don't rely on. And I see us as Americans not understanding that we need to make a pivot. There's different things that you have to rely on, different ways in which you got to move when things get controversial. But that belief system, I want you to think of your belief system like a fish bowl, right? And you're the fish inside the bowl. The fish can only grow as big as the bowl will allow. So if you take that fish out and put them in a bigger tank, they'll get bigger. But if you got them in a small little bowl, then they're only going to grow so much. They're not going to outgrow the bowl. And if that bowl is our belief system, we're not going to outgrow our belief system. Now, here's the challenging thing. A lot of us think that the belief system that we've crafted for ourselves, that we pulled out of our ego, that is shaped by our insecurities, is going to be big enough for us to grow. And we're inside of this little bitty bowl, and we're looking at other people going, tapping on the bowl like, hey, I'm over here. Come get me out. Come help me. But you can't get out of the bowl until you expand your belief system. Here's the other challenge. Some of us go, I believe, and my belief system is big. But then you move as if your belief system is small. You're not walking in that confidence of the Lord like you really say you are. And these are things for us to, and I'm here as a coach, and these are very sensitive areas, and I help people with this kind of stuff all the time, because there's blind spots and stories that are playing behind. So when I'm having a conversation with you, there's a recording, there's a tape of my trauma, of my insecurities, all this stuff that's playing back here that could be impacting my actions, even though my mouth is saying another thing. So your actions end up snitching on you. So one of the things that we do in my coaching sessions is we start changing some of that programming that's playing back here, so that when you have instinctual moves that you need to make, instinctual comments and conversations and things like that, it's not pulling from that database that is filtered with your trauma. So we start to clean up some of those blind spots so that you now can have a more faith-based, instinctual conversation and move in that fashion. You're not in that small little fishbowl anymore that doesn't allow you to grow out beyond it. Let me know in the chat if this makes sense to you. Think of your belief system like a fishbowl and be honest with yourself. It's the hardest thing for a lot of us to get past. We get really arrogant with our belief system and we really don't know how to flow. In 2010, I think it was, I said a prayer maybe 10 minutes before I was about to go on one of my shows or talks like this. And I was sitting there and I asked Allah to allow me to be his conduit. I said, use me. But then later that sent me on a journey of understanding how to be used and learning how to remove myself. See, the ego is good in that it helps us with our sovereignty and it helps us sometimes with putting borders and parameters around who we are. Okay. But the other part of it is that we have to be careful that it doesn't edge God out. Because sometimes we can get so caught up in who we are and what we want that God can't use us because he could get us to a situation and then we start yapping with our insecurities and then we mess the whole thing up. And so the idea is to figure out how to make your fishbowl so big that you can lose yourself in it. You lose yourself in your belief system. You lose yourself, and then you allow yourself to be used. Because on your journey to that next elevated place may mean that you need to go and do something where you forget about who you are, you give and be of service, and then you move on. This thinking like this and understanding how to expand our fishbowl is what's going to help us in the face of controversy. Some of us are so afraid and so nervous and so insecure that you can hear the fear in our voice. You can see the fear in the way we move. But yet we're posted up and postured up like we're confident and we're all of that, but we're moving in a very insecure way. And now I see all this stuff with somebody was telling me the other day that they know that they're a chosen one. And I said, how about, what if I said to you, I was in a conversation with somebody, and I said, let me ask you a question. I said, what if I said to you that everybody is a chosen one? They're like, no, they argue with me. They didn't want to concede to the fact that everybody is chosen. I said, well, what keeps some people here and why are some people not here? How did you and I get born into, let's say you don't believe that I'm a chosen one. How did I get here? How did Allah choose to breathe his life and put himself into me and allow me to walk the work if I'm not too chosen? I said, I think what we are saying, that we starting to combine this colonial competitive mindset with some kind of spirituality and spiritual development. And so I challenged her. I said, I challenge you to think of it like this. Everybody is in different phases of their development. There's all these different versions of the earth out here because everybody's experiencing their time on earth in their own way. And I said, I challenge you to to understand and accept that everybody is at different levels of development. And in a wink of an eye, depending on the situation to situation, we can go one way or another. In the wink, all it takes is a wink and a nod. All it takes is a situation, a circumstances to either elevate us or bring us down. One or the other. So let's be mindful, especially in these day and times, that our need to be better than somebody else, our need to show that we got it going on, our need to demonstrate that does not lower our vibration to the extent that we can't function and that we're paralyzed. Because sometimes we go into a situation and we miss the point because we're so busy trying to make sure our light shine. My father used to always say a bright star don't need no light. That's my thought for this today, my message, because what I see happening is all this chaos happening in the world, and people are really feeling uncomfortable and insecure. And I get it. It can be scary, especially if you don't really have a strategic foundation to stand on. Somebody said to me the other day, why do you guys always say, well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this, or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that? I said, because that is the foundation that we stand on that is carrying us through these turbulent times. That's why I don't get off the foundation and start acting crazy. Or if I do get off the foundation temporarily, I'm like, oh, whoa, let me get back over here. My mind has to be rooted in a platform, in a way of thinking, in a way of being that gives me the open access to strategic moves. It's not about saying, well, your platform is better than mine and I'm this and that. It's about going, how do I add to my platform? How do I put color and detail to the platform so that I know how to move? You turn on the news. I was watching the news just this morning. I turned on something because I was up really early and I had done my meditation and my prayers. And I said, all right, what's next? And I just turned on the news. And it was this crash, this accident, this murder, this devastation, how much money people don't got, what's happening internationally, how they fussing in Congress. It was all very, very negative stuff, all of it. And I looked at that and I said, this is why we feel like we're in the twilight zone. Because people don't know how to move because there's all this, we're being bombarded with uncertainty. So where do you go to find your certainty? And in that process of being uncertain, a lot of us get insecure. We try to hurt people. We start being manipulative. We start competing. We start getting jealous. We start getting envious. And to help us with that, we have to find a place where we go in the midst of that uncertainty. First thing is, stop feeding on that stuff. I get it that a lot of times we got to check out the news to see what's going on. I got that. I totally get that. But then what do you do to ground yourself? What platform do you plug into that tells you how to think and how to move, even though all this chaos is going on around you. And even though you feel like you're in the twilight zone, what do you plug into? And that's what we have to think about. And that's what we have to work on. We got to work on plugging into a source that tells us what to do. And look, when you start making moves because you think you plugged into the source, don't be so arrogant. I'm always double checking and triple checking that there's no trauma or there's no ego involved in certain moves that I may make. Constantly thinking about that consistently. And then when I catch it, I discovered something the other day I think it was yesterday, about myself. I just stopped and I sat down and I said, let's deal with it. Let's deal with this. Let's talk about it. And I start going down the line of tracing it back, where I felt the source of this was, what I could do to avoid it. And the beautiful thing about awareness is once you are aware of something and you acknowledge it, it's like you just start getting the solutions on how to fix it, how to get yourself together. How many of us, let me say this, what happened to you that made you feel like you were not good enough? What happened to you that made you feel like you need to show the world that you're better? What happened? Who said something to you? Was it an incident? Did you get hurt? Did somebody physically abuse you? Did you have a bad relationship? Were you in an abusive situation? What happened to you that is playing in the back of your mind, in that blind spot, that is impacting how you move right now? What happened? What happened to you that explains why maybe you don't get along with people? What happens to you that explains why you attack people? What happened? And once we start to unravel that and raise that, and that awareness happens, then we can figure out where our triggers are. So when we're in this chaotic world, we can move without having our triggers directing us and showing us what direction. See, because in this information society that we're in, nobody's really off the grid. And even if you think you're off the grid, you're probably not really off the grid. So the advertisers, the corporations that impact the world and impact our policy and our government have enough data on all of us, our traumas, what we've been through, what we hide, what we do when nobody's looking, what's happened to us in the past that we don't tell nobody about. They got enough data based on where you live, where you come from, what you look like, who you are, whatever it is. They have enough data to construct psych operations that they will put out here into the zeitgeist, the universe, pop culture. You'll get it through social media, through the news, through interactions with other people. They will put these psych ops out there, and the psych ops already know how you're going to respond to certain things. If it's something as simple as them saying, not simple, but something as common as them saying, oh, the airports are all full and air traffic control doesn't know what to do, and a plane ran over a person. They already know, based on their analysis of your psychotic space and where you are psychologically, how you likely are going to respond to that. Because they know the platform that you live on based on your actions. They already know. So these psych ops are out there getting us to move in a certain direction. So what psychological operation is playing in your background that makes it to the point where you don't got no friends? You don't have anybody that's really close to you. People around you might just be tolerating you. What's playing in the background that's putting you in that situation? And it's okay. We just need to stop the tape from rolling so that you can move out and be your beautiful self and your beautiful, authentic self that you're pretending to be. But we're all chosen. Each and every one of us, we're still here because God chose to keep us here. See, all God got to do is just decide He's going to leave us alone. If Allah just said, you know what, I'm going to leave her alone, I'm done. So the fact that Allah is not saying I'm going to leave you alone says that you're chosen. So in some form or fashion, everybody's chosen. So see all this pop culture stuff that they got going on out here, you know, when you're a chosen one, this and this and this. And how do you determine who's chosen and who's not? Are you talking about levels of spirituality? Are you talking about metaphysical levels? Are you talking about recognition of your gifts? Because everybody got gifts inside of them. Are you talking about people being at different levels in terms of recognizing who they are and their relationship with the universe, with Allah? Is that what we're talking about? Then say that. But the reason why they constantly go so chosen one is because they know you're insecure. They know your ego is out front and you want to be chosen. You want to be that special one. You still want the colonizer to choose you and give you that piece of chicken. And they know that. But what we're really talking about are levels of spirituality, levels of connectedness. Some of us are connected when it comes to some subjects, and we're not connected when it comes to others. Some of us spend more time in that connected space and in that connected energy than others. Some of us have been in that connected energy maybe for longer periods of time, but it doesn't mean that the next person can't get there. It doesn't mean that you can't get there. And it doesn't mean that you're chosen and somebody else is not. See, that's a divide and conquer mechanism. And then everybody starts, everybody's ego's activated. Not everybody, but a lot of people's egos are activated. So then they start making videos. Well, when you're a chosen one, this, and this. And when you're special, when you're chosen, if you got tapped to wake up this morning and you got that life force going through you and you can do this and breathe, you were chosen to be here another day, another hour. There are people that are here this morning, but there are a lot of people that were here last night that ain't here this morning. If you one of those that's still here, you're chosen. You got another chance, another opportunity to grow, to love, and to be loving. So let's work on accepting our own and being ourselves. Let's stop the competition, the manipulation, and really truly figure out what is it going to take. And here's the easiest way we can start to figure that out. We got some recent examples of it. When you think about our people post-slavery, during Reconstruction, there's all the talk about the towns that were built, Black Wall Street and all of this stuff. Before massive propaganda campaigns began to make us compete against each other, what were we doing? Feeding one another, living around one another, living together, taking care of each other, introducing goods and services into the community so people could have certain services and have certain things. That's what we were doing. And that's what it took for us to build. Now, we didn't have it together in terms of being able to defend ourselves against the terrorists that burned down most of our towns. But that building and that togetherness, we had it. When you think about different stories about us taking care of each other to get through difficult times, to get through challenging times. A lot of us have lost a family member, a loved one. I remember when my father passed away, all of us as siblings, we were just all around each other, just all up in the same space, supporting one another, getting each other through it. I don't think we could have gotten through it as smoothly as most of us did, I believe, had we not had each other. Again, my point is, think about those elements that we need to bring back into our lives in order to ensure our own survival. See, when you sitting over there dealing with your trauma by yourself, you ain't got no friends, you don't talk to nobody, you really start going crazy. And when you come out and start talking and start moving, and people really will think that you're insane. Some people will say it to you, like, you know what, you crazy. And then you get offended because you're like, oh, what are you talking about? You know, and I got my business and I just got to point it to that, and I'm this and I'm that. I ain't crazy. You could be. Because the support mechanisms that you need in order to heal are not necessarily there. So sorry about that, y'all. So these are things that we have to think about as we begin to navigate the world. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions or comments. But I really wanted to get that off today because I'm seeing this Twilight Zone type of atmosphere out here. And a lot of us are reacting, overreacting, unconsciously reacting. Our blind spots are activated because of all the chaos out here in the world. We have to figure out how we deal with that. Any questions, comments in the chat? Thank you. Brother Ronald said, excellent point. Thank you, sir. Wa alaikum salam. Grand Rising, Brother George. Morning greetings. Yes. Sister Sachs says, ASA, ma'am. Wa alaikum salam. A couple of other. Okay. Yes. So let me know your thoughts. But let's start working on figuring out how to settle our differences, get rid of baggage. It's something the minister tells us. He's been telling us a long time. Settle your differences. Settle your differences with people. Most of the time, when you're not getting along with people, you don't even know why. Because a lot of times it's your blind spot that was acting. That little devil right there on your shoulder that started cutting up. Over here, the good person on your shoulder was telling you, go do this, go help this person. Then you got over there and And instead of giving them the food from the pantry that you were supposed to deliver, you say, I ain't giving them nothing. That's just an example. But look, it's okay. If we've messed up, if we made a mistake, let's get it right today. Let's get it right today. If you could be of service to somebody, be of service to somebody. If you can give somebody something, give somebody something. If you can love on somebody today, let's make today a Love on Somebody Friday. Just love on somebody. Be supportive. Sometimes people don't even know that they crazy. Sometimes we don't know we crazy. Plug into that platform and find a way to make your fishbowl bigger. If you have a certain set of beliefs, let me say this last thing and then we're going to go. If you have a certain set of beliefs that have gotten you this far, realize that you need more beliefs or expand your belief system in order to get you to the next level. Because that belief system that you had yesterday got you here. If you're trying to get a few more steps ahead, you got to expand that belief system. Think of your belief system like a fish bowl. And the fish in the bowl is only going to grow as big as the fish bowl will allow. All right, family. We are about a week away from making some announcements on our upcoming events. And I want you all to stay close because I'm so excited. I've been working hard on this stuff. So I'm so excited. We don't want to announce things too early because I think it's important that timing is also important. I'll say it that way. So make sure that you've registered your commemorative Elijah coin. If you don't have your commemorative Elijah coin, then you need to go out there and get your commemorative Elijah coin. And if you want to support the movement, the education that we're putting out here about the economy, about the dollar, about doing for self, about self-governance, then you can use this QR code right here and support us via Cash App. This one right here is for you guys to purchase the book. But this one right here is for you to support the movement. I'll show the video again before we go out. Support the education that we're putting out there, the mental strategies that we're putting out there. A lot of you have benefited and you don't have to pay anything. And we want to get to the point where all of our consciousness can attract what we need in order to support think tanks and strategic planning and research and information that we need in order to build what I'm calling these parallel systems that we can rely on in our community. You know what? Let me say this one last thing before I go. Somebody thought this. When I say our community, that don't mean you got to live in the hood. I said that to somebody and she said, well, I don't live in the hood. That ain't what we talking about. Our community is us, like-minded people who think a certain way, who look a certain way. And we better start thinking about community no matter where we live, because people writing policy, they grouping us all together. They don't care if you live in one suburb and I live in the middle of the hood. Sister says, it is refreshing to hear an intelligent sister this beautiful Friday. Thank Allah for you. Thank you so much. Praise be to Allah. Brother Ronald said, I hear you, sister. I don't want to be crazy. Appreciate your thoughts. May Allah continue to bless you. Nobody, you rather be crazy in a good way, right? You don't want to have your traumas and stuff out here directing you to the point where you by yourself, you regurgitating the same thoughts over and over again. And then next thing you know, you out here saying this stuff and people like, what is wrong with him? I'm being silly. I'm sorry. I'm not making light of anybody's struggles. I just want us to, I want to help us grow. So again, register your commemorative Elijah coin. If you don't have a commemorative Elijah coin, go to ElijahMuhammadHouse.com, get your coin and register it. Once you get it in the mail, we'll get it mailed out. If you support this movement, look, Charlie Kirk, may he rest in peace. He had $80 million for a think tank that he was putting together. I don't think it takes $80 million to do the research and to put together a think tank and have global thoughts around a particular subject. But we can support. There's those of us that are out here that are willing to do this and give of our time and our resources to do it. But we need your continued support. So you can go here to Cash App. We're putting out white papers and discussion, going before Congress, having local political meetings, trying to make sure that, or make an attempt to make some adjustments and some changes and to make our story known. So support, 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 support. Okay. We'll be back out tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Inshallah. Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks right here. If you think of something that you want to share, that you want us to talk about, then do that. I try to reserve some mornings where we don't necessarily have a specific subject, where we can just talk. But this is what it's all about: life, love, and business. And yeah, that's it. Okay, family. So love on somebody today. That's our assignment for today. Okay. Find somebody, love on somebody today, connect with somebody today, talk to somebody today. If you're going through something, build relationships where you have people that you can just talk to. If you need to get a therapist to talk to, if you need a coach, you can go to, you can bring me on board, SajdahWendyMuhammad.com. There's ways in which you can pay for coaching services from me, but get you somebody to talk to so that you're starting to release some of this energy that you're holding on to that is making us create this Twilight Zone type atmosphere so that we can transition and start manifesting in the space of controversy. All right, family, I'm gone for real this time. Don't go too far away. Take a look at these commercials and make sure you support, support, support. All right, see you in a few. And remember, accept your own and be yourself.